Here is everything that you need to know about this dip that we are experiencing right now and whether or not you should just click that sell button and panic sell, okay? There has been almost $1 billion of liquidations in the crypto market over the past 24 hours. Now there is $827 million worth of longs and $110 million worth of shorts. So what does this mean? It means these reckless gamblers playing with money that they don't have were betting the price was going to go up instead of down, and it turned against them. And they ended up losing a lot of money, like almost $1 billion. So with that said, what's the moral of the story? Stay out of leverage. Don't have any sympathy for these guys. They're just gamblers, okay? So these are guys that are just the typical Las Vegas type of, slot machine gamblers. That's all they are, okay? They're just kind of in this space. Now these leveraged gamblers are just speculating on price. They know nothing about fundamentals of Bitcoin. Otherwise, they'd actually have a life. They get out and they wouldn't lose $800 million on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So moving on, we also have the liquidation map. $1 billion worth of longs going down to $108,800. So what does that mean? It means that if the price goes down that low, there will be $1 billion of longs that are getting destroyed all the way down there. And also $15 billion of shorts if we rise up to $122,000. That's going to happen. We are not at the top of the bull market. This is ridiculous that some people are actually saying we're at the top of the bull market, but we will end the bull market, okay? Eventually. Now is not the time to panic sell, okay? So if you have your finger on that trigger, that red sell button, do not, this isn't financial advice. I'm not even thinking about selling. That's a joke. Okay, so moving on, we also have Trump firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook after allegation of mortgage fraud. First off, let me give you an idea of what the Federal Reserve is, because most people in the crypto space, even like some solid Bitcoiners that have been in this space for quite some time, that show up at the Bitcoin conference and all that, seem to not understand that the Federal Reserve doesn't answer to anyone. I don't care if it's Superman. I don't care if it's Batman. They don't answer to anybody, especially Trump, who's a central bank puppet, along with all the other presidents in our lifetime, okay? Not just picking on one guy. They're all puppets. Now, with that said, nobody's getting fired. This is all theater. And just right after that news came out, we have Fed Governor Cook says President Trump has no authority to fire her and that she will not resign. Fed Governor Cook's lawyer says that they plan to take whatever actions are needed to prevent Trump's illegal action. I don't think it's illegal to say this stuff because the Federal Reserve is the most illegal entity on the face of the planet, if you don't understand that. They are the monopoly that your founding fathers, if you are a U.S. citizen and you understand history and you understand the Constitution, you would know that the Federal Reserve is utterly illegal. Utterly illegal. They are so far against the Constitution, it's ridiculous. Number one, it says in the Constitution that you need to have your currency backed by gold and silver. Yeah, that's not the case anymore. 1971, Nixon took you off the gold standard. That's why your currency is finished. Done. Dunsky. Ain't gonna happen. Buy Bitcoin before it's too late. Now, let's move on to the Fed chopping block on Kobeissi letter saying, number one, Fed tried to fire Fed Governor Cook. Fed Governor Kugler resigns without explanation. Trump appoints Fed Governor Miron. Trump calls to fire Fed Chair Powell 10 plus times. Trump says a new Fed chair pick is coming soon. Guys, this is just all theater, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. Now, we also have the whole world kind of going, I don't really want U.S. debt anymore. And that is why the 30-year bond is now at 4.937, just up a little bit today, and that's going to continue up. Why is that? Because the U.S. needs to entice other countries to go ahead and buy their own debt because nobody else wants their debt anymore. especially after what I'm going to discuss now. So today, President Trump threatened to impose 200% tariffs or something on China if they don't provide the US with magnets. Now, nobody can do business with the US anymore. It's finished. So what's happening right now is countries are going, you know what, we're just going to have a Bitcoin reserve. We don't want to deal with the US anymore. And I don't blame them. I mean, do you? This is similar to like if you had a toxic partner, right? And they change their mind daily about their entire life's trajectory. Would you want to be in a relationship with that person? Heck no, you would break it off so fast if you were secure enough and then move on to other fish in the sea. Okay, so this is the same thing about, you know, what's happening in the United States. Nobody wants to do business with these people anymore. Now let's move on to the Bitcoin bull market. And if we are going into a bear market, or am I wrong? Am I dead wrong? We are just gonna go up forever. I'm going to bring up other people's different viewpoints and I'm going to counter argue this, okay? So this guy McKenna on Twitter says, I think people framing cycle top is incorrect given previous cycles have all operated without TradFi adoption, traditional finance adoption. If you think we're going into a 1.5-year bear market, then I would heavily bet against this. In fact, I think there will be some great trades that present themselves in 2026, he says. Prolonged bear markets are over. Previous bears were driven by mass leveraging through fraud, not institutional bid, and protocols that do not have any meaningful cash flow. I would implore people to get out of their head in the concept of a cycle top. Okay, let me break this down for you. Oh yeah. Okay, so in a bull market, we've already experienced about a 33% dip. A 33% dip, okay? Now, what happens, okay, during, you know, the parabolic top that we are eventually going to have, or like when the masses start piling in and then things start dropping. Now, keep in mind that as the price rises, there are going to be more and more Bitcoin reserves and treasury reserves and Ethereum treasury reserves and other different coin reserves, okay? So they're going to be piling in near the top. Once those reserves like take up a big portion of their reserves, of these companies' reserves, and they see the first signs of a bear market or a potential like 40% drop, because keep in mind, we just had, even with TradFi in, we had almost a 35% drop, okay? Now, with that said, when it does go down, do you think they're gonna hold all those coins? Because the whole point of these reserves is to keep a little bit of stability in their balance sheet, okay? And these companies are going to have to convince their shareholders to allow them to keep this amount of crypto, whatever it's in there, that's losing ridiculous amounts of value, by the way, to keep holding it over the long run. That's not going to work, guys. If you've ever seen that movie, The Big Short, when Michael Burry was trying to hold on as much as possible during the time when he was losing a lot of money, that's a lot of stress being put on one person or a whole board of people. Imagine a whole company like that. So what my thought process here is that people are going to do a Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin inverse ETF, which means they will benefit from the price going down. And that would probably be easier for the average shareholder of these companies. Keep in mind, most people are not used to even a 5 or 10% decline. Can you imagine when we go down 50, 60, 70%? Man, keep in mind, we've already gone down 30, almost 35% during a bull market. We are definitely going down lower than 35% during the next bear market, okay? So yes, these guys are going to unwind. It's going to be a giant snowball effect, and it's going to obliterate the price, which is going to be fantastic for people that follow my channel and a few others out there that are going to take profits during this bull market. We've already taken profits. We have it in cash. We're waiting for the bear market so we can take advantage of the bear market that is coming. That is going to be the time where people are going to make generational wealth, the next bear market. If you haven't made that much already, boy, if you play this right, this is what happens. You can't work your way into generational wealth. you can have the best job in the world, isn't going to happen. Okay, schools might teach you that, oh yeah, go to school, work really hard, and retire when you're, work after 40 years or whatever. That's not how it works, guys. If you want to make generational wealth, you play these guys' games. Okay, and what happens is we have a cycle, and we are going to have a bear market cycle. Okay, we have a bull cycle right now. We're going to get the bear market cycle. So that is my argument against that. Check us out at learningcrypto.com if you want to see all of our trades that we're going to be making in the future and what we have made already. And also, please leave a comment down below. Let me know if I'm off, if I'm wrong, because you know what? I'm only one person here. I don't have hundreds of advisors telling me what is going to be happening. But I've done pretty darn good. I got into Bitcoin before Ray Dalio, before Trump, before Elon Musk, before all these guys that have hundreds of advisors around them. So yeah, haven't done too bad, but let me know if I'm wrong. Talk to you soon.